Admiral Jake Morrison stood at the massive window of Earth's Space Command Center, watching the stars twinkle in the darkness beyond. 50 years had passed since the first alien ships arrived at Earth's doorstep. 50 years since humanity learned they were not alone in the universe. And for all those years, Earth had made one simple choice that kept them safe: stay out of everyone else's wars. The communication device on his desk buzzed with an incoming message. Morrison turned away from the window and pressed the acceptance button. The holographic figure of Ambassador Kethvar appeared before him. The tall, blue-skinned alien's forearms moved in what humans had learned was a gesture of respect. "Admiral Morrison," the alien said in perfect English. "I bring another request from the Galactic Federation. Our war against the Zephyrian Empire grows more desperate each day. We need Earth's help." Morrison had heard this same plea countless times. The Galactic Federation, a group of peaceful alien races, had been fighting the brutal Zephyrian Empire for over 200 years. The Zephyrians were conquerors who destroyed entire worlds and enslaved populations. They showed no mercy to anyone who stood in their way. "Ambassador, you know Earth's position," Morrison replied calmly. "We remain neutral in all galactic conflicts. This policy has served us well." The alien's large eyes showed frustration. "Admiral, the Zephyrians grow stronger every year. They have destroyed 17 worlds in the past month alone. How can Earth stand by and watch?" Morrison walked to his desk and sat down. He had been having this same conversation for years. As head of Earth's Space Defense Command, he understood the alien's desperation. But he also understood something more important. Earth's survival depended on staying out of galactic politics. "Ambassador, Earth sympathizes with your struggle," Morrison said. "But we have learned that the best way to protect our people is to avoid making enemies. We will not join your war." The alien's image flickered with what seemed like disappointment. "Very well, Admiral. But remember, neutrality may not protect you forever." The Zephyrians view non-involvement as weakness. After the connection ended, Morrison called for Dr. Lisa Hayes, Earth's chief expert on alien cultures. She arrived within minutes, her brown hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, and her green eyes showing concern. "Another request from the Federation?" she asked, sitting across from his desk. "The same as always," Morrison nodded. "They want our ships, our weapons, our soldiers. They don't understand why we won't help them." Dr. Hayes frowned. "Jake, I've been studying Zephyrian behavior patterns. They don't respect neutrality the way other species do. To them, anyone who doesn't fight is simply a future target." Morrison had heard her warnings before. Dr. Hayes was brilliant, but she worried too much. "Lisa, Earth has been neutral for 50 years. In that time, we've had peace, prosperity, and safety. Our colonies on Mars and the asteroid belt have grown. Our technology has advanced, all because we stayed out of other people's wars." "But what if staying out isn't enough anymore?" Dr. Hayes asked. Before Morrison could answer, Captain Ryan Burke's voice came through the communication system. Burke commanded the defense station that orbited Earth, watching for any threats to their homeworld. "Admiral, we have visitors at the edge of the solar system," Burke reported. 3 ships, Zephyrian design. They're just sitting there about 1 billion kilometers out." Morrison felt a small chill but kept his voice steady. "Are they approaching Earth?" "No, sir. They seem to be observing. Should I send a warning signal?" "Negative, Captain. Earth's neutrality agreement forbids us from taking aggressive action, unless directly attacked. Monitor them, but do nothing else." Dr. Hayes leaned forward in her chair. "Jake, this is exactly what I was talking about. The Zephyrians are testing us." Morrison shook his head. "They're probably just passing through. Or maybe they're curious about the neutral world everyone talks about. Either way, if we don't provoke them, they'll move on." Later that evening, Morrison attended an emergency meeting of Earth's Governing Council. Senator Claire Thompson, leader of the Isolationist Party, had called the meeting after learning about the Zephyrian ships. "Admiral Morrison," Senator Thompson said as the meeting began, "I understand there are hostile aliens in our solar system. What is your response?" Morrison looked around the room at the 25 council members who represented Earth's major nations and colonies. "Senator, 3 Zephyrian ships are observing from a safe distance. They have made no hostile moves. Per our neutrality protocols, we are monitoring, but not engaging. Good, Senator Thompson nodded. Earth's neutrality has kept us safe for half a century. We will not abandon that policy now. Councilman Peter Walsh from the Mars colonies raised his hand. Admiral, what if these ships are planning an attack? Councilman, the Zephyrians know Earth is neutral. They have no reason to attack us. We pose no threat to their empire. Dr. Hayes stood up from her observer seat. May I speak? Senator Thompson looked annoyed, but nodded. Council members, Dr. Hayes began. I've spent 20 years studying alien psychology. The Zephyrians don't think like us. They see neutrality as cowardice. They believe anyone who won't fight doesn't deserve to exist. Dr. Hayes, Senator Thompson interrupted. Your theories don't change facts. Earth has been neutral for 50 years without incident. The Zephyrians have never threatened us. Because we've never been worth their attention before, Dr. Hayes replied. But now the war is going badly for them. They need victories. Neutral. Worlds make easy targets. Morrison watched the debate with growing concern. He believed in Earth's neutrality policy, but Dr. Hayes raised troubling points. Still, changing course now would be dangerous. Earth's military was designed for defense, not galactic warfare. The Council voted 23-2 to maintain strict neutrality. Only Dr. Hayes and Councilman Walsh voted for increased defensive preparations. As the meeting ended, Morrison returned to his office. Captain Burke was waiting with an update. Admiral, the Zephyrian ships have moved closer. They're now at 500 million kilometers in holding position. Still no hostile actions? No, sir, but they're definitely studying us. Our sensors detect multiple scanning beams. Morrison nodded. Continue monitoring. Alert me if anything changes. That night, Morrison stood again at his office window looking out at the stars. Somewhere in that darkness, alien ships watched Earth with unknown intentions. He thought about Dr. Hayes's warnings and the Council's vote to maintain neutrality. Earth had chosen its path long ago. They would not join the Galactic War. They would not make enemies of the Zephyrians. They would remain neutral, peaceful, and safe. Morrison had no way of knowing that the Zephyrian commanders studying Earth had already decided that humanity's neutrality made them perfect targets. He could not have imagined that the aliens were carefully choosing which human settlement would send the strongest message to the galaxy about Zephyrian power. The die was already cast. Earth's neutrality, which had protected them for so long, was about to become their greatest vulnerability. Commander Alex Rodriguez rubbed his tired eyes as he stared at the screens in Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Center. For 3 weeks, the Zephyrian ships had remained at the edge of the solar system, moving closer each day. What had started as 3 ships was now a small fleet of 12 vessels. Commander, you need to see this, called Maya Johnson from her workstation. The young tech specialist was only 24, but she had an incredible gift for understanding alien communication patterns. Rodriguez walked over to Maya's station, where streams of data flowed across multiple monitors. What do you have, Johnson? Maya pointed to a series of signal patterns. I've been monitoring Zephyrian communications for the past week. Look at this. She highlighted several message bursts. They're not just watching us anymore. They're cataloging everything. What kind of cataloging? Population centers, defensive installations, shipping routes, even our entertainment broadcasts. Maya's voice grew more concerned. Commander, they know how many people live on Mars. They know about the mining operations in the asteroid belt. They even know about the children's hospital on Luna. Rodriguez felt his stomach tighten. Are you certain about this? I've triple-checked. The translations. The Zephyrians are building a complete intelligence file on human civilization. Rodriguez immediately contacted Admiral Morrison. Within an hour, Morrison arrived at the monitoring center with Dr. Hayes and General Paul Bennett, Earth's chief military strategist. Maya showed them her findings. The Zephyrian communications revealed detailed knowledge of human society that, went far beyond casual observation. They had mapped Earth's power grids, identified key government buildings, and even analyzed human psychological responses based on intercepted entertainment programs. "This is extremely troubling," Dr. Hayes said as she reviewed the data. "They're not just gathering military intelligence. They're studying how we think, how we react to stress, what makes us afraid." General Bennett, a gruff man in his 60s, shook his head. "Admiral, we need to take action. This goes beyond neutral observation." Morrison studied the information carefully. The evidence was clear that the Zephyrians were conducting detailed surveillance, but taking action would mean abandoning Earth's neutrality policy. "General, our hands are tied," Morrison finally said. "Earth's neutrality agreement forbids aggressive action unless we are directly attacked. Surveillance, even detailed surveillance, is not an attack." "But sir," Maya interrupted, "there's more. I intercepted a communication yesterday that mentioned something called Project Demonstration. The message was heavily encrypted, but I caught fragments about maximum psychological impact and civilian targets." Dr. Hayes paled. "Jake, you have to listen to this. The Zephyrians don't make demonstrations for fun. They use terror to control populations." Morrison felt the weight of command pressing down on him. Every instinct told him that Dr. Hayes was right, but Earth's survival had depended on neutrality for 50 years. Changing that policy could invite the very attack they were trying to prevent. "Continue monitoring," Morrison ordered, "but we maintain our neutral stance." The next day brought more disturbing intelligence. Maya had broken deeper into Zephyrian communications and discovered that the aliens had been studying human culture for months before their ships appeared. They had intercepted Earth's television broadcasts, internet communications, and educational programs. "They know everything about us," Maya reported to the emergency meeting Morrison had called. "They know we protect our children above all else. They know we have strong emotional bonds to family members. They even know which human settlements have the least military protection." Commander Nina Clark, who managed the space station defenses around Jupiter's moons, joined the meeting by video link. "Admiral, I've noticed increased Zephyrian activity near the outer colonies. They've sent scout ships past 3 of our mining stations in the past week." General Bennett spread a holographic map of the solar system across the meeting table. Red dots marked every location where Zephyrian ships had been detected. "Look at this pattern," Bennett said, pointing to the red dots. "They're not randomly exploring. They're mapping our most vulnerable points." Dr. Hayes added her analysis. "I've been comparing their surveillance pattern to historical Zephyrian attacks on other worlds. The pattern is identical to what they did before destroying the Kelran, Homeworld, and the Vegan colonies." Morrison stared at the map. The evidence was overwhelming, but taking military action would mean abandoning the policy that had kept Earth safe. He thought about the millions of humans living peacefully on Earth, Mars, and the various space stations and colonies throughout the solar system. "What does the Galactic Federation say about this?" Morrison asked. "Ambassador Kethvar sent a message this morning," Dr. Hayes replied. "The Federation believes the Zephyrians are planning to attack Earth as a demonstration of power. They think targeting a neutral world will show other species that no one is safe from Zephyrian aggression." Captain Burke's voice came through the communication system. "Admiral, we have movement from the Zephyrian fleet. 6 ships are advancing toward the inner solar system." Morrison felt his heart rate increase. "How fast are they moving?" "Current speed suggests they'll reach Mars orbit in 18 hours. General Bennett stood up. "Admiral, we have to act now. If we wait until they attack, it will be too late to mount an effective defense." Morrison looked around the room at his advisors. Every military officer wanted to take action. Dr. Hayes supported them. Even Maya Johnson, young as she was, nodded, in agreement. But Morrison remembered his responsibility to all of humanity. Starting a war with the Zephyrians could bring destruction beyond imagination. Earth's military was strong for a single world, but the Zephyrian Empire controlled hundreds of star systems. "We maintain our position," Morrison decided. "No aggressive action until we are directly attacked." Dr. Hayes shook her head in frustration. "Jake, by the time they attack, it will be too late for whoever they target. Maybe they're just trying to intimidate us." Morrison replied, though he no longer believed his own words. Over the next 12 hours, Maya Johnson worked frantically to decode more Zephyrian communications. What she discovered made her blood run cold. She immediately called Morrison. "Admiral, I've decoded part of their target selection process," Maya said when Morrison arrived at her station. "They've chosen their target for maximum emotional impact on human psychology." "What target?" Maya's voice shook as she answered. "The Children's Research Hospital on Luna Colony. They specifically chose it because attacking sick children will cause the greatest psychological trauma to our species." Morrison stared at the translation in horror. The Zephyrians had studied human nature so thoroughly that they knew exactly how to hurt humanity most deeply. They weren't just planning an attack. They were planning to break human morale by targeting the most innocent and vulnerable members of their society. "How long do we have?" Morrison asked. "Based on their current course and speed, about 6 hours." Morrison's hands trembled as he reached for his communication device. For 50 years, Earth had chosen neutrality over conflict. For 50 years, that choice had kept them safe. But the Zephyrians had made one crucial mistake in their psychological analysis of humanity. They had studied human protective instincts, but they had misunderstood what those instincts meant. They thought attacking children would make humans surrender out of fear. They didn't realize it would do the exact opposite. Morrison opened a channel to all Earth Defense Forces. In 6 hours, everything would change. The age of human neutrality was about to end, and the Zephyrians had chosen the one target guaranteed to unleash humanity's full wrath upon them. The Watchers had been watched in return, and they had made the worst possible choice for their first strike against Earth. Dr. Kevin Stone was reading bedtime stories to the children in the pediatric ward when the first explosions shook the Luna Colony Children's Research Hospital. The lights flickered, and several of the young patients looked up with frightened eyes. "It's okay," Dr. Stone said gently, though his own heart was racing. "Probably just a supply ship docking a little too hard." 8-year-old Emma Martinez, who was being treated for a rare genetic condition, tugged on his sleeve. "Dr. Stone, why are the lights flashing red?" Before he could answer, Lieutenant Colonel Danny Wright's voice echoed through the hospital's communication system. "This is not a drill. All staff and patients proceed to emergency shelters immediately. This is not a drill." Dr. Stone had worked at the Children's Hospital for 12 years. He had treated young patients from Earth, Mars, the asteroid mining, colonies, and space stations throughout the solar system. The hospital was famous across human space for its advanced treatments and caring staff. It was supposed to be the safest place in the solar system for sick children. The building shook again, more violently this time. Through the large windows, Dr. Stone could see the dark shapes of alien ships approaching the Luna Colony's main dome. Red energy beams lanced out from the ships, striking the colony's defensive barriers. "Everyone stay calm," Dr. Stone called out as nurses and medical staff began evacuating the children. "Hold hands with your buddy and walk quickly to the shelters." Commander Nina Clark was in the colony's defense center when the attack began. She had been visiting her nephew, who was receiving treatment for injuries from a mining accident. When the first Zephyrian ships appeared on sensors, she immediately took charge of the colony's limited defenses. "All defensive platforms, target the lead ships," Clark ordered. "Medical transports begin immediate evacuation of critical patients." But the Zephyrians had planned their attack carefully. They jammed all communication signals, preventing calls for help from reaching Earth or other human settlements. Their ships moved with deadly precision, systematically destroying the colony's defensive weapons. Dr. Stone carried 3-year-old Bobby Chen, too weak from his treatments to walk quickly. The little boy clung to his stuffed dinosaur as explosions got closer and closer to the medical wing. "Where are we going?" Bobby asked. "Somewhere safe," Dr. Stone replied, though he was no longer sure anywhere was safe. The emergency shelters were built deep underground, designed to protect against accidents or meteor strikes. They were never meant to withstand a military attack by advanced alien weapons. Maya Johnson, monitoring the situation from Earth, watched in horror as the Zephyrian ships surrounded the Luna colony. She had tried to warn everyone, but the attack came faster than anyone expected. "Admiral Morrison, they're targeting the hospital directly." Maya reported, her voice breaking. "They're not attacking military targets or government buildings. They're going straight for the children." Morrison stood in Earth's command center, watching the battle unfold on the main screen. He had ordered Captain Burke to launch rescue ships, but they were still hours away from Luna. "Why aren't our defenses stopping them?" Morrison demanded. "Sir, Luna Colony only has basic defensive systems," Captain Burke replied. "It's a medical facility, not a military base. The Zephyrians are using full military-grade weapons." Dr. Hayes stood beside Morrison, tears streaming down her face as she watched the alien ships methodically destroy the hospital's defensive barriers. "Jake, they chose this target specifically because they knew we couldn't protect it adequately." The first Zephyrian beam weapon struck the hospital's main building. The energy blast tore through the structure like paper, vaporizing entire sections in seconds. Dr. Stone felt the floor beneath his feet buckle and collapse. He and Bobby Chen fell through 2 floors before landing in a pile of debris. Dr. Stone's leg was broken, but he could hear Bobby crying, which meant the child was still alive. "Help!" Dr. Stone called out. "We have injured children down here." But the communication system was dead. The hospital's power grid had failed. Emergency lighting flickered weakly in the wreckage. Above them, the Zephyrian ships continued their systematic destruction. They weren't trying to capture the colony or steal resources. This was pure terror warfare, designed to send a message to all of humanity. Commander Clark fought desperately to coordinate the evacuation, but the Zephyrians had cut off all escape routes. Medical transports trying to leave the colony were shot down. Rescue shuttles from nearby space stations were destroyed before they could land. In the underground shelters, nearly 200 children huddled with their doctors and nurses. The youngest was only 6 months old, born prematurely on a Mars mining station and brought to Luna for specialized treatment. The oldest was 16, a brilliant student who had developed a rare brain tumor. Nurse Jennifer Walsh held baby Sarah Parker, born with a heart defect that required surgery only available at the Luna Hospital. The baby's parents, mining engineers from the asteroid belt, had spent their life savings to bring their daughter to the best medical facility in human space. "It's going to be okay, sweetheart," Nurse Walsh whispered to the baby, though explosions were getting closer to their shelter. Dr. Stone managed to pull Bobby Chen from the debris, but the little boy was badly hurt. Blood ran from a cut on his forehead, and he was having trouble breathing. "Dr. Stone," Bobby whispered, "I want to go home." "We're going to get you home," Dr. Stone promised, though he didn't know how. The Zephyrian attack lasted exactly 1 hour and 47 minutes. When it ended, the Luna Colony Children's Research Hospital was completely destroyed. The underground shelters had partially collapsed, trapping most of the survivors under tons of rubble. Captain Burke arrived with the first rescue ships 3 hours after the attack ended. The Zephyrian fleet had vanished, leaving behind only destruction and death. "Command, this is Burke," the captain reported as his team searched the wreckage. "The hospital is completely destroyed. We're detecting life signs in the underground areas, but we'll need heavy equipment to reach them." Dr. Stone died trying to keep Bobby Chen alive in the collapsed shelter. His body was found covering the little boy, protecting him with his final breath. Bobby survived, but with injuries that would affect him for the rest of his life. Nurse Walsh saved baby Sarah Parker by shielding her with her own body when part of the shelter ceiling fell. Walsh spent 6 months in the hospital recovering from her injuries, but the baby lived. When the final casualty count was released, the numbers hit humanity like a physical blow. 347 people had died in the attack. 89 of them were children. The rest were doctors, nurses, medical staff, and family members who had come to Luna seeking help for their loved ones. The Zephyrians broadcast the attack across the galaxy, claiming it demonstrated their power and the futility of remaining neutral in their war. They sent a message to Earth's government stating that more attacks would follow unless humanity surrendered and agreed to serve the Zephyrian Empire. Admiral Morrison received the Zephyrian ultimatum in his office, 12 hours after the attack ended. Dr. Hayes sat across from his desk, her eyes red from crying. "They studied us so carefully," Dr. Hayes said quietly. "They knew exactly how to hurt us most." Morrison looked at the casualty list again. Names and ages of children who would never grow up, doctors who would never save another life, families destroyed in a single afternoon. They made a mistake, Morrison said, his voice cold with fury. What do you mean? Morrison stood up and walked to his window, looking out at the stars where Zephyrian ships might still be watching. They think attacking our children will make us surrender, Morrison said. They don't understand humans at all. They just guaranteed that we'll fight them until every last Zephyrian ship is destroyed. Dr. Hayes understood. The aliens had studied human psychology, but they had misunderstood the most important thing about humanity. Humans would die to protect their children. They would fight beyond reason, beyond hope, beyond sanity, to avenge the innocent. The Zephyrians had attacked Earth's children thinking it would break human resistance. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous than they could possibly imagine. They had made humanity angry, and an angry human was the most dangerous creature in the galaxy. The vote was unanimous. For the first time in 50 years, every member of Earth's governing council agreed on something. Senator Claire Thompson, who had led the neutrality movement for decades, cast her vote with tears in her eyes. Earth hereby abandons its neutrality policy and declares war on the Zephyrian Empire, she announced. May God have mercy on their souls, because we will not. Admiral Morrison had never seen such unity among Earth's leaders. Representatives from Mars, the Io, asteroid colonies, Jupiter's moons, and every human settlement across the solar system demanded immediate action. The attack on the Children's Hospital had done something the Galactic Federation could never accomplish. It had made humanity ready for war. Admiral, said General Scott Parker, newly appointed head of war operations. What are our capabilities? Morrison had been dreading this question. Earth's military was designed for system defense, not galactic warfare. They had powerful defensive platforms and patrol ships, but nothing that could match the Zephyrian battle fleets that controlled hundreds of star systems. General, we have approximately 2,000 combat vessels of various sizes, Morrison replied. Most are equipped for patrol and defense duties. We have no experience in large-scale space warfare. What about our technology? Asked Captain Lauren Blake, Earth's most experienced combat pilot. Dr. Hayes stepped forward with a data pad in her hands. That's where things get interesting. During our 50 years of neutrality, we never stopped advancing our technology. We just focused on peaceful applications instead of weapons. She activated a holographic display showing various human innovations. Our quantum displacement drives are 30% faster than anything the Galactic Federation uses. Our computer systems are more advanced than most alien civilizations. Our manufacturing capabilities exceed those of worlds with 10 times our population. Morrison studied the data with growing interest. Are you saying we're more advanced than we realized? I'm saying we've been developing technology for exploration and industry, while everyone else focused on weapons, Dr. Hayes explained. But most of our peaceful innovations can be adapted for military use very quickly. Engineer Tim Roberts, head of Earth's largest shipyard, raised his hand. Dr. Hayes is right. Our mining lasers can be modified into weapons. Our cargo ships can be converted to troop transports. Our industrial fabricators can build anything we design. General Parker looked around the room with new hope. How quickly can we mobilize? Give me 6 months, Roberts replied. I can build you a fleet unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. Morrison felt a surge of confidence he hadn't experienced since the attack. Do it. Unlimited resources, unlimited authority. Build us a war machine. The transformation of human society happened with breathtaking speed. Factories that had produced consumer goods switched to manufacturing weapons and armor. Shipyards that built peaceful exploration vessels began constructing warships. Universities redirected their research toward military applications. Dr. Hayes led a team of scientists in developing new combat technologies. They took humanity's advanced computer systems and created artificial intelligence programs that could control weapons with deadly precision. They adapted industrial fabrication techniques to build armor that was lighter and stronger than anything aliens used. Most importantly, they designed weapons that reflected humanity's unique approach to warfare. The Zephyrians and other alien species fight methodically, Dr. Hayes explained to a meeting of military commanders. They follow predictable patterns and use overwhelming force to crush opposition. But humans fight differently. How so? Asked Captain Blake. Humans are unpredictable. We adapt quickly. We take risks that seem impossible to other species, and when we're angry, we don't stop fighting until our enemy is completely defeated. Engineer Roberts presented the first new warship designs 3 months after the Luna attack. The ships were sleek, fast, and packed with weapons that no alien military had ever encountered. We call them Vengeance-class destroyers, Roberts explained. They use quantum displacement drives for impossible speed and maneuverability. Their primary weapons are molecular disruptor cannons that can tear apart enemy ships at the atomic level. The first human war fleet launched exactly 6 months after the attack on Luna Colony. Captain Blake commanded the lead ship, a massive vessel called the Retribution. Her fleet consisted of 50 Vengeance-class destroyers and 20 support ships carrying supplies and troops. Colonel Janet Price led the first human special operations teams. These were soldiers trained in tactics no alien military had ever seen. Boarding actions, sabotage, and psychological warfare designed to spread fear among Zephyrian forces. Our target is a Zephyrian supply depot in the Alpha Centauri system, Blake announced to her fleet commanders. Intelligence suggests they're using this base to coordinate attacks on human colonies. The human fleet reached Alpha Centauri in record time. Their quantum displacement drives allowed them to travel distances that would take alien ships weeks to cover. When they arrived, they found 12 Zephyrian ships protecting the supply depot. The Zephyrians had expected any human response to be slow and defensive. They were completely unprepared for the fury that emerged from Earth's depths. Blake's destroyers attacked from multiple directions simultaneously, using their superior speed to confuse Zephyrian targeting systems. The molecular disruptor cannons tore through alien armor like it was made of paper. Zephyrian command ship is requesting communication, reported Blake's tactical officer. Put them through, Blake ordered. The alien commander appeared on screen, his reptilian features showing confusion and fear. Human vessel, why do you attack? Earth is neutral in this war. Blake's voice was cold as space. Earth was neutral. Then you murdered our children. Now we're going to destroy every Zephyrian ship in the galaxy. The battle lasted only 18 minutes. When it ended, all 12 Zephyrian ships were destroyed. The supply depot was captured intact, along with valuable intelligence about Zephyrian operations. Colonel Price's special operations teams boarded the depot and discovered something that made their blood boil. The Zephyrians had been planning additional attacks on human civilian targets. Schools, hospitals, and residential areas throughout human space were marked for destruction. They weren't done with us, Price reported to Earth Command. They were planning to systematically eliminate human civilians until we surrendered. The news of Earth's first military victory spread throughout the galaxy faster than anyone expected. The Galactic Federation was amazed that humans had developed such advanced technology in secret. Other neutral worlds began to reconsider their own positions. But the Zephyrians were shocked. For 200 years, they had dominated galactic warfare through superior technology and ruthless tactics. No enemy had ever adapted so quickly to their methods. Admiral Morrison received reports of the victory in his office. Dr. Hayes sat beside him, reviewing intelligence captured from the Zephyrian depot. Jake, look at this, she said, pointing. 2 alien tactical manuals. They have detailed plans for conquering Earth. They expected us to surrender after Luna. Morrison studied the documents with growing anger. The Zephyrians had planned to turn Earth into a slave world, with humans forced to work in their factories and mines. They had already decided which human settlements would be destroyed and which would be kept for labor. They thought we were weak because we chose peace, Morrison said. They're about to learn that humans are only peaceful when we choose to be. Captain Blake's fleet returned to Earth as heroes, but their celebration was brief. Intelligence reports showed massive Zephyrian fleets mobilizing throughout their empire. The aliens were finally taking humanity seriously as a threat. How many ships are they sending? Morrison asked. Conservative estimate. Over 5,000 combat vessels. General, Parker replied. They're pulling forces from across their empire to crush us before we can cause more damage. Morrison looked at the tactical display showing Zephyrian fleet movements. Any sane military commander would have been terrified by such overwhelming numbers. Instead, Morrison smiled. Good, he said. Let them come. Earth has been building in secret for 6 months. It's time to show the galaxy what angry humans can accomplish. The Zephyrians thought they were mobilizing to crush a minor threat. They had no idea they were about to face an enemy unlike anything they had ever encountered. Humanity's age of neutrality was over. The age of human warfare was about to begin. Admiral Susan Lee stood on the bridge of the Fury, Earth's new flagship, watching the largest human fleet in history prepare for battle. 2 years had passed since the Luna colony attack, and in that time, humanity had built over 3,000 warships. Every one of them was crewed by volunteers who had lost friends or family to Zephyrian attacks. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Zephyrian fleet, reported her communications officer. Lee had been expecting this. The Zephyrian Empire, facing defeat for the first time in their history, was ready to negotiate. Put them through, Lee ordered. The image of a Zephyrian war leader appeared on the main screen. The alien's reptilian features showed exhaustion and fear. Behind him, the command bridge of his ship was damaged and smoking. Human commander, the alien said in halting English, our emperor wishes to discuss terms of peace. Lee studied the alien with cold eyes. The only terms we'll accept are unconditional surrender and full reparations for every human life you've taken. You do not understand, the Zephyrian replied. Our empire controls 400 star systems. You are fighting a war you cannot win? Lee smiled, but there was no warmth in it. We've been fighting your empire for 2 years. In that time, we've liberated 63 worlds, destroyed over 2,000 of your ships, and captured your 3 largest fleet bases. How exactly are we losing? The alien's eyes widened. The numbers were accurate, and they represented a military disaster beyond anything the Zephyrian Empire had ever experienced. Dr. Marcus Bell, watching the conversation from the science station, marveled at how completely the war had turned around. His team had developed weapons that made human ships devastatingly effective against Zephyrian technology. The key breakthrough had been understanding how differently humans approached warfare compared to alien species. While aliens fought methodically and predictably, humans were chaotic, innovative, and utterly relentless when defending what they loved. Human ships approaching the Kethvar system, reported the tactical officer. Captain Harris is leading the assault on their main shipyard. Lee watched the tactical display as Captain Todd Harris led his strike force against one of the most heavily defended Zephyrian installations. Harris commanded a new type of ship, fast attack vessels that could appear without warning, destroy their targets, and vanish before enemy forces could respond. Harris had volunteered for the most dangerous missions throughout the war. He had lost his young daughter in the Luna colony attack, and his fury drove him to victories that seemed impossible to more cautious commanders. Zephyrian defense platforms are firing, Harris reported over the communication system. Beginning attack run. Lee watched as Harris's ships used their quantum displacement drives to appear directly inside the shipyard's defensive perimeter. The Zephyrians had never faced enemies who could move so quickly and strike so precisely. Within 30 minutes, the shipyard was destroyed. Harris's teams captured 12 half-built Zephyrian battleships and rescued over 4,000 alien slaves, who had been forced to work in the construction facilities. Another victory for humanity, Lee announced to her crew. The bridge erupted in cheers, but Lee remained focused on the Zephyrian commander still visible on her screen. Do you see? Lee asked the alien. Your people thought attacking our children would make us surrender. Instead, you made us angry. And angry humans are the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. The war had revealed capabilities that even humans hadn't known they possessed. Earth's industries, designed for peaceful expansion, had been converted to military production with incredible efficiency. Human scientists had developed technologies that surpassed anything in Zephyrian arsenals. Most importantly, Human warriors had proven themselves superior to alien soldiers in every type of combat. They were faster, more creative, and absolutely unstoppable when fighting to protect their families and homes. General Patricia Davis coordinated the final campaign from Earth Command. Her forces had surrounded the Zephyrian home system, cutting off all escape routes and supply lines. "Admiral Lee," Davis transmitted, "we're ready for the final assault. All fleet groups are in position." Lee looked at the tactical display showing human forces throughout Zephyrian space. In 2 years, humanity had gone from a peaceful, neutral world to the dominant military power in their region of the galaxy. "Admiral," the Zephyrian commander on her screen said desperately, "surely we can reach some agreement. Our empire has vast resources. We can offer tribute, trade agreements, anything you desire." Lee thought about the children who had died at Luna Colony. She thought about Dr. Stone, who had given his life trying to save little Bobby Chen. She thought about all the human families destroyed by Zephyrian cruelty. "There is one thing we desire," Lee said quietly. "Justice for our children." The final battle took place in orbit around the Zephyrian homeworld. The aliens had assembled their remaining fleet, nearly 800 ships, defending their capital world and the billions of civilians living on the planet's surface. Lee commanded over 2,000 human vessels, but she had no intention of destroying the Zephyrian homeworld. Humans fought to protect the innocent, not to commit genocide. "All ships begin the assault," Lee ordered. "Target military vessels only. Any ship that fires on civilian areas will answer to me personally." The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships moved with impossible speed and precision, destroying Zephyrian vessels while carefully avoiding damage to the planet below. Dr. Bell's latest innovation proved decisive: weapons that could disable enemy ships without destroying them. Human forces captured hundreds of Zephyrian vessels intact, along with their crews and vital intelligence. Within 6 hours, the Zephyrian fleet was defeated. Admiral Lee's ship approached the planet's orbital defense platform, where the Zephyrian Emperor waited with his surrender terms. "Human Admiral," the Emperor said when communications were established, "our empire surrenders unconditionally. We accept your terms and will pay full reparations for all damages caused to human settlements." Lee nodded. "Your empire will also release all slave populations and agree to permanent monitoring by Galactic Federation peacekeeping forces." "Agreed," the Emperor replied. "But tell me, how did a peaceful species become such formidable warriors so quickly?" Lee thought about the question carefully. "We were always capable of this, we just chose to be peaceful. But when you attacked our children, you forced us to choose war instead. That was your mistake." The formal surrender ceremony took place on the Zephyrian homeworld. Captain Harris led the team that accepted the Emperor's surrender, representing all the human families who had lost loved ones in the war. Standing in the Imperial Palace, Harris read the surrender terms to the assembled Zephyrian leadership. "The Zephyrian Empire hereby surrenders unconditionally to the human coalition. All military forces will be disbanded. All occupied worlds will be freed. Full reparations will be paid to all victims of Zephyrian aggression." The Emperor signed the documents with shaking hands. "The empire that ruled for 1,000 years ends today," he said quietly. Harris looked at the alien ruler with a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. "It ended the day you chose to attack defenseless children. You could have conquered the galaxy, but you made the mistake of making humanity angry." News of the surrender spread throughout the galaxy within hours. The Galactic Federation celebrated the end of a war that had raged for over 2 centuries. Enslaved populations on dozens of worlds were finally free. On Earth, memorials were built to honor those who had died at Luna Colony. Dr. Stone's statue stood in the center of the memorial, with little Bobby Chen playing at his feet. The inscription read, "They died protecting our children. We fought to avenge them." Admiral Morrison, now retired, stood before the memorial with Dr. Hayes. Both were older, marked by the years of war, but satisfied with the outcome. "Do you think we made the right choice?" Morrison asked. "Abandoning neutrality and choosing war?" Dr. Hayes looked at the names carved into the memorial wall. Jake, we didn't choose war. War was forced upon us. We simply chose to win it. Earth had emerged from the war as a major galactic power. Human technology, military tactics, and diplomatic influence now shaped politics throughout known space. The Galactic Federation offered humanity full membership and leadership roles in maintaining galactic peace. But the most important change was in humanity itself. They had learned that peaceful intentions were not enough to protect what they loved. Sometimes, even the most peaceful species had to be ready to fight. The Zephyrians had studied human psychology carefully before their attack on Luna Colony. They had identified humanity's greatest weakness, their protective instinct toward children and families. What they failed to understand was that this weakness was also humanity's greatest strength. When humans fought to protect their loved ones, they became unstoppable. The Zephyrian Empire had lasted for 1,000 years, conquering hundreds of worlds and enslaving billions of beings. It fell in less than 2 years because its leaders made one crucial error. They chose the wrong enemy. Earth had refused to join the war until aliens made the fatal mistake of attacking what humans held most dear. In trying to break human morale, by targeting children, the Zephyrians had instead awakened a sleeping,